And do we have any comments from public? Anyone that we didn't have Sue. Was Sue? Apologize for.
Was she going to attend today? No.
No. Okay. Okay. Communications. Any communications to share? Okay. Moving on. They have a motion to approve the minutes, and thank you, Barb, very much for this new responsibility. The minutes of the April meeting.
I'll second.
Who made the motion?
I did, Catherine.
Catherine, and seconded by Hallie. If there's any comments, additions, changes, recommend? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as emailed to us, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay. Thank you. Motion carried. Okay, good. Okay, so Jennifer, I'll turn it over to you for statistics and then on to your report.
Sure. I do have a question for you, Marie. With monthly statistics, I kind of alluded to at one point that we wanted to, I don't want to say revise, but maybe change the way our statistics look, for the simple fact that some things may be more relevant at this point in time, as opposed to some other things. So my question to you is, I don't know, does this fall under a policy that you would like to vote on me reconstructing with staff how the statistics look?
Well, maybe Hallie and Rosemary, you can help me out. I believe, and I don't have the year or the date, but Betty Ann, we had statistics in different formats and different, some different data in them. And in Betty Ann was directed to use this format. And it was quite a process that she went through. And I don't know if it was for town or state, but my recollection was that she really had to follow some directives about that. No, Rosemary or Hallie, do you?
I thought it was the state that told her that that she had to include certain things. Wasn't that it? It was coming from the state. Wasn't that where it came from?
Could be. That could be.
Well, I don't think it was the town of Groton. I think it was the state of Connecticut, the library, you know.
Format, the agenda, but the statistics for the state.
I can't imagine why the state would care how any library does its statistics monthly, as long as it's correct in the annual report.
Well,
Yes,
that
that is absolutely true in the sense of there is certain data that we do need, like Hallie said, that has to be put through every year to the for the annual report that we provide, which then allows them to look at and consider our possible money that we receive from Borrow It. But some of the data even has been changed a bit by the state. Like, for example, the live recorded views, that was something that came through from the state library to make sure we adapted to during COVID. So I guess my thing is that I wouldn't necessarily reconstruct it to just only having, 2 items, but things that may be a little more relevant to you. For example, I'll give you one, because I didn't have a number right yet because we've been closed, but the public wireless computer prints. Would you rather care about having the knowledge of how many prints we have or how much revenue we might be receiving from that? What is something, I guess that's what I'm asking the board is, what are some things that maybe need to be modified so it's either better understood or, more important for you to know?
Okay. I have a question for you.
Sure.
Amongst your colleagues, Jennifer, is there a best practice or set of standards which, if not universally, is widely used?
Hard to hear you.
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Is there a set of standards, best practices on data reporting If we're following it, there's no need to change. If we're not following it, let's see if we can get on board.
There is, like Marie alluded to, there was something that came from the state library. And I remember her telling me about how they had to prepare some of these items. But that was for the idea of you're compiling them monthly, so then you can provide this information to the annual state annual library statistics. But I mean, like Hallie said, I think monthly to make it more, give you better information. I mean, there's things that we don't have on here. I mean, we don't break down ebooks. I mean, that's a huge thing right now. And maybe you want to know if children are checking those out as opposed to, you know, you see the children's non-print. I mean, that's going to continue to decline over time because that's a format that's going away. So I'm just wondering on some of the modifications, so you could maybe best, it would be better knowledge for you. I mean,
I wonder if there's a one or two board members that would like to meet with Jennifer and maybe look at what the possibility of the reports are too. We don't want you to come up with something that you can't manage in a report, but if you're running, an ILS report that has various options that we just don't see on here, maybe that's something that would spur ideas of what would be of interest.
no, absolutely. I mean, we had, like, for example, we had Sean come on and explain how all the views, how the program's produced, and that's, I mean, I was thrilled that you asked that. But I mean, is there, whether, I'm not even saying that we should expand it to have 5 pages, but keep it to 1 page, but make it a little more robust for the things that are being utilized the most now. We haven't been using our meeting rooms. They say nonprofit and profit. Well, very rarely do we get a profit one. It almost always either remains 0 or 2. I mean, I could probably have something a little more, it's a different line I can use to give you some more information. Our online services, who's going on these online services, like Job Now, or something more specific. I was just, throwing it out there that we've had it for a while. We have had to update and some things because of the state was requiring them, like the programming. And maybe, I don't know, I think that might be wise if somebody would be interested, a couple of people, seeing what kind of data you'd like to see.
Can I turn the question around? I have every confidence in you, and I know the other board members do too. The question for me is not counting beans, but what data can help you do your job best. And if you think we need to expand or contract something, I'd love to hear about what your ideas are, but I basically have confidence in you. We want you to be as supported as possible, I think.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, again, if we were to change something in the long term, it doesn't even have to be in the next month. I just mean in the long term, would this be something like more policy driven or for a vote, or you just, provide the data that you want to provide?
How do board members feel?
I haven't had a problem with the way it's presented in the material that's included.
Okay.
Well, could you perhaps come up with a list of items that you feel that you would like to see included?
Okay.
And things that you think maybe are less important in your daily decision making. And then, we could then all just take a quick look and say, this sounds great. Or somebody might say, well, I really liked knowing X and I'd like to see that remain, or, it would be great to add A, B, and C, because we're sort of talking in the dark about, what we could have added, I mean, you have ideas. So
Yeah, we don't really know what's possible,
what's possible.
what's out there.
So if you make a list you know.
Well, like I said, but the main question was, is it more to Marie, a policy for voting on making major changes or, even small changes to something that we've been ongoing, doing ongoing presenting every single month. It's almost like a policy that you're changing because we've always done it like this before, as opposed to.
Yeah, I
other
would say it's probably more of a practice information item, but I don't know if it's policy.
Okay.
I think, it's very good to have, and don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's board policy to have statistics.
Okay.
Could be
Okay.
wrong, but certainly it's been a practice and
Okay.
a good information piece for us to have.
Okay. Well, then I'll take your suggestions because there's a couple things that I think may be better represented if I, put them on the list, and maybe some things to take off. So I can certainly at the next meeting bring those.
Yeah.
bring
And
those.
Jennifer, just again, I can't recollect when or how, but I do recall a conversation with Betty Ann of her having to make some changes and being a little, I wouldn't say frustrated is too strong, but it was work that she did to align the statistics with, again, I still kind of think there's something in the town there. I don't know why, but that kind of.
Well, a lot of, I don't want to say like
Hey,
a
but-
lot of things have changed, but I think almost every single person is retired from the Connecticut State Library, and there's been a lot of changes with statistics overall for what we needed to give them. I haven't had to give anybody besides the town clerk, my agenda and our meeting minutes, and there's been no, conversing of you need this or that. And we just did participate in a records retention webinar, and that wasn't noted at all. So anyway.
My sense, Jennifer, is that the purpose of data collection is more than informing us of what's happening, but to help you do resource allocation looking forward. And whatever will help you more clearly allocate your future resources is what this pilgrim would like you to have.
Okay. Absolutely. It's one of those give and take things. Like we see, what's happening. We have the opportunity to gather this data and, like you said, utilize it the best way we can. However, it's also translation for all of you, because you're our support team, to understand certain things that are going on in the library, and maybe something is not, fleshed out enough, or maybe something could be tweaked a little bit. So it's a little more informative on whatever that, that category is. So that's really why I was bringing it up.
Well, this is, I feel a little unprepared for making an answer, but maybe at the next meeting, we could bring this topic up again and give ourselves a month to look at, what we have and just think about it a bit too, of what we may like to see or what could be more helpful in terms of budget planning or staffing or, the statistics tell a story, but maybe there's a story that isn't being told through them.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Could I
So,
just make one
Yes, Catherine.
suggestion? I personally, especially if the children's non-print is going to go away, I would like to see the ebooks and the magazines separated from one another so we can see those numbers individually.
And I'm almost, I want to say 90% positive we can do that. Because that was, as they're rising, I had told you with the children's non-print, for example, we're going to see a difference. And then, I also want to inform you. I mean, I can tell you, but it's like, wouldn't it be nicer to know that, well, you're going to start seeing that dip, as we move along, and you're going to see the ebooks go up, but there's no definitive how that is changing the children's area, for example. So, but I will take that suggestion. I'll come up with some, there was a few things that I thought of, and I can bring them to the next meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. So overall statistics. I will tell you, because this is kind of reflective of what we've seen in April. So we opened April 19th. So we have been, and of course you don't see the previous month, you see last year, for example, we were closed. That's why there's 0. But we've been sort of averaging about 8,200 people with the closure, picking up their items. So although it does look like a little dip, I think people were a little confused initially, like we were open and maybe a little timid to come in to pick up items. I don't know, but we're starting to see more activity this month. So I'm hoping that number is going to slowly start to increase. But that's why it's a bit of a dip, I think, for the previous months of curbside pickup. We were pretty busy during curbside pickup, believe it or not. We had a lot of people come through. But now transitioning back to inside, and the pickup is now inside. It's not in the vestibule.
Mhm.
So, that could be why the small dip. And of course, we've got the nicer weather. It was spring vacation. I mean, there's a lot of things happening all at once during April anyway. Kids are back to school and whatnot. The other thing I wanted to remark on, another thing, even though we're, I told you because budget kind of took over a couple things, so I haven't put my whole self into our website development just yet. But if you notice the Google My Business, we're almost back to the numbers we were seeing pre-COVID. And that's good data there, because what that's basically saying is people are clicking there before they even go to our website. Because it's one of those things when you click on Google, you open Google and you put Groton Public Library, the first thing that shows up is that side, that panel on the right. And that is immediately what people are clicking on. So looking at that along with our visited website views, I think is a more accurate picture that people are definitely looking at us digitally. It's just how they're getting to get our information on our site about hours being open. Or the good thing about the Google My Business is I get frequent updates. Every time somebody looks at a post, I get an alert. And or writes a review. And what's really telling is, they'll tell you when the highest posts, when they've looked at the highest post, and it was our changing of hours. Within like 3 days, I got like 96 views on that. So just that one little piece of information. So people are definitely looking to see if we're open and, coming back, and what our COVID message is at this point. So that's promising. That means people are still trying to find us and look to see what news is happening.
Jennifer, can I just ask
Yeah.
on the Google My Business? Because I was kind of doing arrows, compared to April 2020 and how people visited the library homepage. It was 17,000 and so forth. But when it says under Google My Business, total searches, and then it says visited website, is that a conscious click the website? And does that website, do you mean the home page? So just that clarification, what is that 11,000?
So that is telling us that 11,000, that they are searching general searching, or they're clicking on that portion. Everything
But
under
that's
that's right.
The website button,
Not the website button. No.
Okay,
If they're looking, they're clicking.
So in terms of visits to the library homepage, they're significantly down.
Right.
than April 20, because there was 17,152 visits to the homepage last year. And this year in April, there's only 1,000 through Google My Business.
Where's the 7,000 you're talking about?
17,000 in April 20 for library homepage visits.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry.
And then,
No, but
then it
that
says
number,
visited website. I'm just trying to see if that website is the homepage. Is that one and the same?
so the library homepage would be our direct, like on our page, where the total searches is looking for Groton Public Library. They're either doing the search Groton Public Library, or they're clicking on something within that window that they have on that side panel, that right side panel. So it's
But not necessarily
searching.
click site, not necessarily
Right.
going, website is the homepage.
That's correct. Now,
Okay.
also keep in mind, and I know this is probably not reflective of April 20th, but April 2020. But also keep in mind, all of our library computers are set to, even thinking of this pre-COVID, all of our library computers are set to our homepage.
Okay.
So anytime somebody leaves the public computer and gets back on, it goes immediately to our webpage.
Mm.
So those are also included on a lot of our data, which
Sure.
is it really that they're clicking on the webpage to look at something, or is it just because we're directing them there as a, as a starting point?
Yeah, that could
Mhm.
be a problem.
Yeah. So what I say, I think the Google My Business more accurate to me, because that's if somebody's going on the computer and they're looking for us, they're actively looking for us or looking for a library in the area. And if we happen to come up first and then they're clicking, they're searching for us. We're not telling, we didn't set it up on the, at their home computer to just automatically go to our website. So there's two different things going on with our public computing at the library as opposed to active.
So that whole area could be one way to give us, kind of clean those statistics up in some ways
Yes,
to give us a better
absolutely.
story going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we ran into this one time with the Groton History Online. We were really, really high with numbers, right? But I told you what was happening is those weren't active clicks. Those 2000, if you look way back on the Groton History Online, that was people just looking around and maybe clicking on it and clicking back out. They weren't actively searching. These numbers that you see now, like the 114, those are active searchers. They're actually doing something in Groton History Online. They're not just going to the page and jumping out. They're actually doing work within that page. So it's a more accurate number, if you want my honest opinion, because you're actually using it. You're just stumbling through it and leaving. So yeah, to your point, those are things I definitely think we need to clean up. Those are
Confusing.
yeah, absolutely.
Any other comments on statistics? Just one more on me, sorry about that. But
Yeah,
just that new
please.
page registrations, not to talk about the numbers, but just talk about a little bit of, with such a unusual year, would the library be doing something to try to reach out to new residents in Groton or have more of a targeted promotion for library cards?
Library cards, absolutely. Well, now that we're open, we can do more. We could do like events. Pretty much what we were telling people when they would call in because we were closed, we would tell them that they could go, if they had the opportunity to go online, they could register for a library card, and we have been mailing them out because we feel it is on us. We should be sending them their card if they can't actively come in, because a lot of times people want to put obviously books on hold. They wanted to pick up stuff like curbside, pick materials up through the ebook platform, and you need to have that library card number. So that was
all the real estate that's passed hands in the past year and so forth. There's been a lot of change in Groton, I think. And
there absolutely has. So now we can definitely shift to that now that we're open. And in fact, we're going to be doing a huge, registration period too for, we've got our summer reading plans that are all wrapped up and we're ready to go. So we're going to have people out there that can register for the program as well as register cards. And, we're going to see an increase in the summer people. So yes, absolutely. I think there's plenty of opportunity for that.
Matthew?
There's another submarine being based here in Groton. It's due in July, an attack sub with roughly 170 families coming to town. I know the school board's been talking about it. I know that there is a family service center, I have no idea what the name is called, at the base. And perhaps we could contact them and get them to put something in the packet for new families. Similarly, HR at Pfizer and EB have packets for materials for their new hires. Um, Again, the business of maybe the utility putting a little flyer into their billing to let people know that we're open again. But I think there's some wonderful opportunities to drive new people to the library and increase our utilization.
I will definitely say about the submarine, the families that are coming in. I think that is a very wise idea. We've done that in the past and it was very successful. In fact, it got people to understand not just, they love their military library, but they have access to other activities that are open to them. And like I said, we've had success in the past and frankly, we haven't done it in a while. So I think that's a great avenue to explore. I had to do presentations over at the community center over on the base for some of the families, and they were very well received. People did come to our library. So we will definitely be in touch with finding a contact there. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Jennifer, you want to keep moving into your report or?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, when I put together these, short bullet points of what we've been doing, some days I'm like, there's so much happening. It's interesting trying to feed it all together of what are the key points, but I can tell you with, we talked about COVID at such a rapid pace, but getting everybody on board with, what our hours are going to be and how things are going to change. And just the daily change every day. I mean, we just got the governor with the mask update yesterday, and the town is going to continue mask wearing inside town buildings at least until the end of May. And then they're going to reevaluate and see where we are. But so there's just constant information being flung around and how we best adhere to the things that we're slowly opening up and things of that nature. So one of the things, I shouldn't say one of the things, many of the things that we've been focusing on is, reintroducing a lot of our services. And frankly, being open, closed, we've had to, re-review a lot of the things that we haven't touched in a year, like passport services. And I can tell you passport services are going to start ramping up like crazy. Michael and I have been taking the majority of passports right now as the only agents that are doing them right now. We're going to be opening that up to the other agents on staff. We wanted to kind of see how that was going to go because we're booking by appointment like we used to. And we're already seeing an increase in passports, which is great. People want to get out and be on vacation. The local history room, we've opened by appointment. So we don't have too many people congregating there. It's kind of an enclosed space. And that's getting regular use. It's very good. We've moved the microfilm machine in there and it's used at least once a day. So that's great. People know that that's available to them. We've started to, the book nooks that we have around town, the ones that we can access that are not in assisted living facilities, we've already started having our volunteers go out and fill those nooks so people have access in other places to books. And then we've been doing one-on-one book attack appointments and job club appointments when appropriate, and they've been very well received. Something with the job services center in Montville, they are currently closed and doing things online, so I'm really trying to get people back to helping them on their way in their job search. So that's a really great thing to have the job club appointments available again. And the study area is open. We have the computers available, and we're looking in the ensuing weeks to start even more opening, more tables and chairs. We're slowly getting back to business. So that's kind of been happening. Our community policing officer has returned. She has regular office hours on Wednesday. I believe it's 10 to 1 to start. And she brings Officer Chase, our dog, that comes to visit. And she's been relocated into a different meeting space for the simple fact that she's not just a teen community policing officer, she's an everybody officer. So teens have been visiting her, adults have come in to talk to her about different things. So we're thrilled to have her back weekly in our building. So that's really great. Questions so far? Keep going.
Where are we?
We're under library activities.
Oh. Okay. thank you.
Moving along.
Yeah, I need another cup of coffee.
Pamela Tankard, who is one of our amazing volunteers, just won the Faith in Nettleton Award at the Connecticut Library Association. We held a small award ceremony for, couldn't have too many people, but we had a very small ceremony. She was able to receive her award virtually. And she's just, I can't say enough about Pam. They did a beautiful write-up of her in the New London Day.
Nice.
And like I said, that woman will drop everything to be here in a heartbeat to help on anything. Children's, book nooks. She's just great. And we're just thankful we have people like this that help out the library. So that was definitely a win for us. I'm going to just skip down because I want to talk about ARPA federal funding in just a second. The self-check software installation, I've been alluding to, we're changing out technology at a rapid pace now. So the next installment of technology upgrade is our software at our self-checkouts. Our current company is just not upgrading to any new software. And I think we've come to the end of our relationship with these people. And we're going to move on to a company where we've had before that we absolutely loved. And it's the same company that runs our management system now. So we'll have one vendor for these two technology pieces. And that should happen within this month. So the only thing that's really going to affect the customers at all, that when they come in, is the monitor. What shows up on the screen might look a tad bit different, but it's still the same self-checkout. You go to the computer and wand your card in. The equipment will still be the same. So just an upgrade in the software. And then lastly, for the activities, one of the big things that I'm working on currently is the ARPA is American Rescue Plan. I'm sure you've heard of this somewhere in the news that President Biden has allocated funding to this American Rescue Plan. And libraries specifically were awarded money for the principal public libraries. The Connecticut State Library is the one who is going to be the funnel for the federal government money. And so what I have to do is submit a application, which is only a page long, of all the things that we would like to enhance, improve in our library. But the caveat is they have to be related somewhat to things like job searching, technology, whether it be outside wireless, hotspots, for broadband connectivity. I'm trying to think another thing. There's just like 3 major parameters. And what we have to do is we come up with a number of things and we submit them so that the Connecticut State Library can take a look and make sure that they're eligible expenses. And if they are eligible, we can submit what we'd like and they will disperse funding to us. Now, each library, principal public library, gets a monetary, they do some kind of formula, and we're expected to receive $22,000 for this rescue plan for Groton. So we, yes, Matthew.
Is there an opportunity to leverage our relationship with the Groton Public Schools? I know they're planning a tremendous number of things to help kids catch up who've fallen
Mhm.
behind, which I think is one of the correct criteria for this money. Any chance of leveraging something with them?
Yes and no. They are getting their own funding through this American Rescue Plan.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yeah, they're getting a lot.
Wow.
So some of the things,
A ton
yeah.
of money.
Yes, they are. So in response to your question, I mean, anything that we've thought about will be directly, yeah, I wouldn't say it's all school related, but it's upgrading things that can assist with students as well as adults. One of the things that I'm very interested in getting for our library is, while we've added wireless access points outside, we probably need an additional one. And then in our actual building, our building, when it was set up, wasn't really geared for lots of power outlets to put your laptops in, you know? And we're seeing a lot more, an increase in wireless usage rather than the public computing on the hardwired computers. So there is this company that provides power and data flooring. It's not one that you have to dig out cement or anything. It's something that you apply on top of your existing flooring. And we're hoping to create in the quiet study area, you know, more opportunity for electrical and data so that people can come in, which they do, and they cannot find a place to plug in anywhere because, you know, the laptop's good for the wireless, but if you run out of power or you need, you know, to power up your computer, well, you may be out of luck because there's not that many plugs. So we're considering that as one, you know, access, you know, getting people access to power, electricity with their internet, wireless internet, for students as well as anybody else who has a laptop. But I mean, the thinking is we have a lot of people that are coming in for study purposes, for schooling and whatnot, and we want to make sure they have that ability to, you know, have that access. So it's just one thing, but you know, there's a lot of ideas kicking around, but of course you got to call companies and get quotes, find out what's eligible. And so that's really what, and it's interesting because the deadline for us to submit something to the Connecticut State Library is June 30th. So we have to do this quickly. We have to get our quotes in. We have to think fast because we definitely want to receive the money and we definitely want to, you know, get things that the community needs. So that is taking up some time right now, and we're very excited about it because this is going to be wonderful for the community. So, questions about the funding?
How-
Yes.
Going back to the $22,000 that you're going to get in relief, is there any
Yes.
plan to share that with the other Groton libraries as has previously been done with CCAR funds and stuff? What goes to the principal and then it's.
Sure. I haven't actually talked yet to Wendy or Chris about any of the funding yet. We're trying to actually just get the money to Groton. We've talked many times about different things we want to do collectively, but now that Christine has come on board, we obviously need to have another conversation with them because, you know, we haven't explored anything. And something to note, just as a sidebar, to Matthew's question, and actually sort of to Hallie's question, we just found out today that the overdrive, I talked to you about overdrive connecting with the school overdrive, so they're connected. Ours finally was switched on, so students can access things that are in our collection. So the next step is we need to connect with Bill and Mystic to see if they would be on board. And we wanted to ensure that that thing got turned on. So now it'll be very easy to jump on board with us to do that. So it'll, you know, help us all three of us, as well as the school students. So we're very excited about getting that all wrapped up. We were hoping that we could get more ebook or physical collection items, but those are ineligible expenses, believe it or not, under this ARPA funding, because that would have been an awesome resource share for all of us.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, it's not. So,
thank you.
yes.
Can I ask, now, forgive me if this exists and I've just never looked for it. But I mean, Michael was telling me the other day that, people are coming in with their computers and, just
Mhm.
using your Wi-Fi. If you come after hours,
Mhm.
and you want to just sit in your car outside or at a table, is there any signage out there that tells you where would be the best place to position yourself so that you would have the strongest signal? I was just, when you were saying maybe the money could be spent on, more outside hotspots, whatever.
Mhm.
Is
Mhm.
there anything that tells people park here or sit here or, to sort of direct their computer to get the best reception on the Wi-Fi?
Well, glad you asked, because we so there's a couple things going on here. One, we could put signage out for the one out front right now, because it is 100% working. We've gone out and tested it where you can use it. So we could put a sign out for that one. We would like to get an additional one put on one of the sides. And there is one to be installed with the in the courtyard. We have it, but there's some digital issue something is not talking to something. So I will be putting out, actually, what we really are going to do is in one of our connections and, or constant contacts, saying that, wireless accessibility is available to any and all. We absolutely will have that mounted or stated somewhere so people can know, at least that there is wireless outside, because we want people to use it. And that's why we put it in. And especially in this area, we would just love to have people utilize the grounds and be able to get that access, whether they're outside or in their car. So I think
How do
that's
people
good.
get the password if they're outside?
They can, that's a good question. They'd have to come inside at the moment and get the password. It's something that, like I said, I want to make sure it was 100%, everything was working all everywhere before we put something out. But it's definitely something we could put outside on the sign that Rosemary was talking about. We could put something with the symbol as well as the password. We could certainly do that. It's a great question.
So people come now at night to use your Wi-Fi, they can't get in.
They can't get in, but what's interesting is, so the beauty part of these new wireless hugs is, well, it is private. I can't see certain things. What I can see is usage. And that is something that I could easily put on our statistics, but it's very interesting to see that it's only been up a very short time, and the usage is pretty high considering, and it also tells me if they're downloading. It doesn't say what they're downloading, it just says what they're downloading and if they're uploading. And the majority of usage is downloading, and it's at big levels. So it's, watching YouTube, watching a video. So it's very interesting kind of seeing the usage. But what I was going to say about that is, maybe they could be using it inside, but I've seen a lot of people outside, maybe they're on their LTE, on their cell phone, but
Once you've logged in, once you've entered the password, you don't have to enter it again unless the password changes.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yep.
if the password doesn't change for a long time, you can be outside and you just automatically connect when you're
connect.
in range.
That's right.
Thanks, Barbara. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, sorry.
Jennifer, I do have a question. It's not on your list, but I think it fits under some of the conversation we had about providing access to our patrons. Could you give us an update on the restoration of full hours of the library, the
Sure.
evening,
Sure.
the 9 a.m.,
Mhm.
just because I think that is kind of a little bit of an elephant in the room of why maybe people aren't using the library as much. I know myself, I would love to have the hours that we had pre-COVID. You have
Right,
this,
right.
so if you won't mind telling us what your plans are, particularly with summer coming, and
Yeah.
it just seems a shame not to have the full use of the library that had been accustomed to for years and years and years.
Right, right. Well, we're taking the slow roll out.
Mm.
We're hoping to add on, going to 7 o'clock and 9:30 to 7 o'clock is coming up quickly. We're going to start with that, and then we're going to see how that goes until July 1. We're opening up meeting rooms. We're sending information out to all our regular users that typically book 6 months in advance. We're sending out that message along with new hours about going to 8 o'clock. For the simple fact that people are going to be wanting to meet for their meetings, and, so they'll need the extended hours. Part of the reason why we haven't jumped so quickly being open, it isn't, I can tell you right now, there's only been 1 or 2 complaints about the late night hours, and those people I have to say are never happy with anything we do. So the majority of the people that come into the library, we're seeing certain times of the day which are very busy. After 4 o'clock, it's like a ghost town in here. And so, just looking at the justification of keeping people here when you've only got one person on a computer. We don't see browsers at 5 o'clock. But that being said, we are going to be opening longer hours regardless. We're just doing it a slow roll. We're also looking at when the senior center is hoping we can kind of align with how the senior center is opening up, because we get a lot of foot traffic in the senior center. So in other words, they have their fitness center open right now.
They do?
They have their pickleball program open.
Oh,
So,
I haven't
yeah.
been notified.
But with the fitness center, it's by appointments, I believe.
Right. No, I remember filling something out, but I've never heard anywhere that it was reopened with appointments.
Just the fitness center. Yep, the
That's all
fitness
good to
center
know.
and a
Okay.
couple of the programs, but not fully. And we do recognize that, aligning with them, if they're coming over too, along with other people. School is also not just out yet. And we're going to be bringing back the food, the free food that comes through the USDA. There'll be breakfast and lunch again. So we want to ensure that hours will be available, that they can come and eat outside. So yes, we will be opening earlier hours.
When will that take place? Will we start the 9:30 to 7? Like
We're actually playing with that right now. We're trying to decide if it's going to be June 1st or when the kids get out, which is like June 15th. But it's going to be soon. And you'll be the first to know. I'll let you know as soon as we have those hours stated in place. We're trying to get right now.
And who's making that decision?
Yep.
Is that the town manager decision or your decision?
Oh,
I mean,
no,
is the
it's
board
mine. Yep, it's mine. And yeah. And I know it seems like, getting back, but I will tell you part of we're also dealing with another thing, which is down on the bottom. We're losing some people. And with that, for different positions elsewhere. So we also need to fill those positions. And the other problem is we have union staff that are taking their vacations. So they're doing that now. So we have kind of I don't want to say we don't have anybody on staff, but we're at one of those, as we're starting to open, it'd be nice to get that stuff all taken care of before, so we have enough staff to cover all the shifts that we need to cover. So that's another one of our big reasons too. But we're getting back to where we need to be very soon.
board members, any comments or suggestions, recommendations?
Couple questions.
Sure.
Okay, getting back to the funds that we have available, or we will have available. Do you already have in your mind how you want to use them, or are you open for some more ideas? What's your pleasure?
Well, feedback's always important. I would love to hear them. I do have a number of things in mind for our job people and our, like I said, our connectivity and broadband, things like that, but I'm happy to hear.
Well, the couple of things that I had in mind were seniors and kids.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it is feasible, and I don't know the technology piece of it. I believe it's technologically feasible, whether we have the means or the interest to do it. But we have several child care centers in the community. And if it would be possible to place a computer in their centers under the authority of somebody you would identify there, that would give the teachers or the caregivers a way to help get the kids some fun educational programming that would promote their education and let them get involved with the library very young. Similarly, congregate housing, both independent living in our public housing and some and congregate housing, not necessarily long-term care nursing, but rehab places. Is there any way we can offer materials to them, use some of the money to improve the lives of people who are kind of isolated and struggling? Finally, with regard to promoting the library with the hours, I would be very surprised if the local radio stations wouldn't be glad to accept some 30-second PSAs from us if we could prepare some just audio-only PSAs. And they probably wouldn't charge us anything. That's part of their public mission. That's enough now. I'll stop.
Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, thank you. Very good ideas.
Great. Yes, I like that actually. PSA. Yep. Okay. So just very quickly, I told you a couple of positions. Emily Sheehan, our beloved children's and technology librarian, is moving on to Old Saybrook. She's going to become an assistant director over there. And
She's going to be the director?
assistant director.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to my-
Yeah, she's fabulous and we're so sad to lose her, but we know it's a great opportunity for her. So she's moving along. And then Jess Trejo is who's one of our library aides and is absolutely amazing. She's going to be moving over to the Stick and Noink Library. She's going to be the circulation supervisor over there. So another person sorely missed. She's amazing. So we are in the process of, we've posted the positions and we're looking to do a certified list and start the interview process because we need a children's librarian and we're also down on not only Jess Trejo leaving, we had already had a library aide that was missing. So we're going for 2 library aides and Emily's position that's open. So we want to get those pretty quickly because as we know, hours are going to be opening up. People are going to start coming into the library, so we got to be full staff. So we're working on that right now. Yes. And then library board meetings, I wanted to ask on the new business. Do we want to continue with Zoom in person? I know some people have said in person, but Marie had suggested we may want to discuss what, decide what we want to do for the future meetings.
I would suggest if there's any person who, and please be candid, if you're uncomfortable with an in-person meeting in June, please say so, and we can push this off. We don't have to be in person in June, but if it's the full consensus that we'd like to meet in person in June, then I'd say let's do it. But it's really your comfort level and
Fine.
Catherine.
I'd have to say I'd like to push it off one more month. My husband has pretty serious kidney disease, and we just want to wait and see a little bit with everything opening up how stuff actually goes. Sorry.
No, we need to hear that.
That's perfectly legitimate.
Absolutely.
If we do have an open meeting, can we make it possible for somebody who's not able or for whatever reason to log in? So he or she can hook in remotely and have our cake and eat it too?
I'd ask Jennifer that about where, how that would work in the library if we were to meet outside or, a
Yeah,
lar-
I'd have
I think
to,
we need a larger conference area to meet in, maybe when the
right,
meeting
right.
doesn't to the
Mhm.
office. Want to have
Yeah,
more space.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. It would have to be somewhere, I mean, to your question, we can do it. Yes. However, the only caveat, of course, is where, because in my office, I can easily hook that up, but it's tight in here. So we'd have to find a bigger location. And right now, this is very interesting. The reason why another big reason for the opening July, it just makes sense. We do it twice a year to open the meeting rooms to people. But for reservation, I mean, they are packed with our quarantine items. And we're looking at, so that big meeting room could possibly not be ready until July 1. Just because we have to decide, are we going to continue quarantining or are we done with that? We're only doing 1 day a week, 24 hours now.
Mhm.
So we're going to transition hopefully out of that as well, but it takes up quite a big space in our meeting room 1. So short answer, we could try to do it, but we may want to think about just 1 more month, and then July maybe in person, and we'll have the meeting rooms open at that time.
Any other thoughts? I'm going to suggest that we meet Zoom in June and make a decision about July at that June meeting. Does that
That's
make
fine.
sense?
That's fine.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Jennifer, I just have one thought about, your slow opening, and you're saying the town of Groton is going to maintain the mask mandate.
Yes.
I'm wondering, from just as a citizen's point of view, is there going to be some difficulties with the governor's message that the state of Connecticut is open?
Mhm.
You don't have to, fully vaccinated people don't have to wear a mask.
Right.
Or outside everything should be up and running. I mean, that's the big message the state has been using on all the
The
news
state has
shows.
been using that because of businesses.
Right.
It's purely an economic
Oh,
reason.
absolutely.
So I just say that because we don't have, our town departments, especially our building, we do not have windows. We do not have air filtration systems. And while people may think that that's not important anymore, there's still all the children and all the kids, the majority of them, not vaccinated. And we have a ton of people that are refusing to vaccinate.
Well, that's
So, and I know can get very, like who's what, and you're right. We don't have a way of knowing who's vaccinated and who's not. We have to take people at their word. So do I believe that we'll have some pushback? I'm sure.
That's why I'm asking,
just-
how are you
yep,
prepared to handle the pushback?
We're just going to be kind. We have masks available for people. We're offering them. And all we're just telling people is we're just following a town policy just till the end of the month. And we are going to reevaluate. It's just, the way our building is set up, as we're starting to relax different things in the town and in the library, we're just going to continue on that path. So we'd hope that you'd, be responsible and continue to wear the mask as a town policy.
And would you refuse service to a person who said the governor says I don't need to? I'm just wondering, I'm just thinking of what could
State
happen.
has said that you
It's
have
up
to yield to local mandates.
Right.
The state,
Mhm.
if a locality is more restrictive than the state mandate, the locality's rules have to be abided by.
Yes, and it is a town policy at the moment. So we would just tell them that is what, what is being adhered to as the policy at this time. And of course, like I said, we would provide them with a mask if they didn't have one, just so they could use the building. We don't want to off-put people to saying that you have to go find one. So we're hoping it's sooner than later that we can ease that restriction as well. So,
Jackie, you want to go out?
yeah. New business or? from
Well,
anybody.
is there anything else about the, anything that was discussed, but we really, with the opening and the hours and the money and
Yeah,
there's a lot going on
so
here.
much. It
Lot-
is.
lot
That's why I
going on.
said when I write like one little sentence like ARPA funding, it's like, there's so much happening with that, and you got to do it very quickly. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's nice getting money.
I'm just giving my opinion, what it's worth. I think that habits have changed about using the library over the pandemic. And
Definitely.
that the library really needs to be more present in bringing people back, because we don't know, we don't, I'm saying we collectively, the town of Red, we just don't know. And I just, it just, it pains me to think that we're going to wait till school gets out to have evening hours, when this is the best time of year with the sun, but also with the students in school, could they're not going to have that time in the evening to study, or it just seems like this is like one of the most essential times for children and students to have their library available. And if we can start till 7 o'clock, sooner than later, I would just think that's important.
Yeah.
No,
No, I hear you. I know
but
you're
I don't
concerned about, I know you're very concerned about the hours, but I feel very, very strongly about how we're rolling out. I don't, part of the problem with this whole mask mandate and vaccines, everybody thinks everything's fine now. Everything's perfect.
I'm not saying that.
I just lost my mother-in-law to COVID. So
I'm sorry.
I just know that I'm not trying to delay because I don't want people working. We are working and we are definitely going to come back. This is not something I want to take lightly. I'm pretty much following, how the town extended their policy with the masks. That's exactly what we're looking at, we are definitely going to be opening. I want people back. We are going to make a big deal about it. We're trying to be we're still trying to be cautious because we don't know. Just because you rip the Band-Aid off, now all of a sudden no one's wearing masks.
I'm not critical. I mean, I double mask and I'm been fully vaccinated for months.
Yeah, definitely.
But the access to the library, the building.
No, absolutely. And if I actually saw we are, just slowly, I really feel like, and this is not just me alone, talking to some of the librarians today, I was on a call with some of the libraries around the state. And one of the big things is getting back to, the thought process, even for people. Some people, I don't really think people feel 100% comfortable coming to and staying at the library. And that's what we're trying to look at now is when we're telling people we would like, come back to the library, what are some other things that we have that you may not have used before, but you're going to need, like I'm suggesting bringing your laptop in and you'll have outlets to plug into because you probably bought a computer when you were in COVID because you couldn't get a computer, or maybe it's, offering, showcasing something else. Like I told you about the students with the ebooks, better access to those things and better materials, more materials, I should say. We're looking at how people are going to start using the library because we're not seeing it right now. We're not even seeing it during the hours that we're open. We went from 10 to 1 to 10 to 5 on Saturday. It's dead after 1 o'clock. There's no one. And we've made a big, splash, like, whoa, new hours. And so it's about marketing. Like Matthew said, it's about marketing.
Yeah,
but it's also about awareness of, are people going to come back in droves right away? That's what we're trying to gauge, and so we're like, acknowledging that maybe the mask mandate's off, or maybe that, we go up an hour, then we'll see people. But even with we've already kind of thrown out to the people who use our meeting rooms. We do reservations pre-COVID days. We would put out a message to all of our frequent users, which were a lot, January 1. For, we do it 6 months ahead of time so they could book for 6 months. And then we do another one in July. We've already contacted all of the people that normally come and use the library for meeting space. and saying, hey, PS, July 1 will be available for meeting room space. We've heard back from one person. So we're not sure if it's because people are still timid about being in a closed space, or, you know, they found another location, or they like Zoom at home. I mean, we're not quite sure. So we're investigating all of these things to see what's the best avenue. But getting back to, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Has anybody done any, like nationally done any surveys about how libraries generally are doing as far as getting people back and what the reasons might be for it being slow?
I've been reading on different places, and it's interesting. People are coming back, and I'm seeing, you know, different reports from different libraries in the different regions. I have a particular favorite in Colorado that is just amazing. I mean, they have everything, but even them, just seeing their marketing, they're like, did you know we're open? And they have like 20 branches. And so I wouldn't say I have any, you know, firm data just yet, because a lot of libraries were actually closed. We just talked about that this morning on this conference call, that they were like closed, they had different hours when they were coming back. So I think now is the catalyst now with, you know, with the governor's orders, at least in Connecticut, that people, libraries, library professionals, community members are like, okay, libraries are now open. However, I don't know, you know, my comfortability level, or what do I need to be at the library for? But people we are seeing are enjoying the fax machine, the copy machine, the printing machine, because, you know, don't forget, they extended the tax deadlines, and people are signing up, you know, unemployment, things of that nature. Seeing a lot more of those usage. But also with the schools starting to get out, we've already contacted all of our, to Matthew's question earlier about, or not question, but statement about the childcare facilities in town. We've supported them through this whole COVID pandemic with materials and crafts and everything. So we've put out messages to them and called them that you can in fact come to the library now. So, you know, that's available to you. But we can still, I think some people are still relying on some of the older services. They love coming into the library and picking up their books without checking them out. Who knew that would be like a mind-blowing thing, but they love it. So, and they're telling us. So I don't know, we're definitely investigating those things. And of course it could change on the daily, as we've seen over this past course of the year, but we're excited to be back. We just have to, like you mentioned, all of you, is just basically getting the marketing out and letting people know in different ways that we're open.
So just like Kim Ballantyne has this distribution list for the circle of friends, do you have a broader list for everyone who has a library card? And if so, can you email them to say the library is open from this day to that day, from this time to that time?
One of the big things we try to do with this whole, like, we're not, well, I mean, I don't see why that would be a problem, but we typically don't. The only distribution we do is if you elect to sign up for our newsletter, or in Kim's case, it's, you know, circle of friends / volunteers. They elect to be on that when they become a member. So you're put on the distribution list. We do have emails for people in the system. However, we've never really done a broad-based, put out something like that. It's something we could investigate, say that we're open. I don't know that we've ever done that before, because I think it was more like, we don't want to just send blast emails to people because they get annoyed by that. But in this case, just because it's a unique experience.
It has been in the newsletter, I think.
Yes, we have. And we've also changed. We'll put a little comment about it. Plus, it's at the top of the list. We've rerun it on GMTV and on a digital board that we're open. Trying to think of some other places that we've posted the day, because they've actually called. They did an article on us recently. So it's just a matter of more options. Like Matthew said, the PSA to the radio might be a good one. So I probably say, let's wait till we get to the 9:30 to 7, so it feels better and not just so limited. But, and I really want to capitalize on those Saturday hours because, like, where are you? We want you back. So,
Well, that might be a good segue into the old business where you're going to talk about the Saturday, May 15th.
Yeah.
event.
that
So-
went
so you
so
did some-
fabulous. Yeah, it
And
did
people came.
so well. So we had a Trillium Garden Club had their plant sale out in our courtyard. And then the Circle of Friends had a book sale on the patio. And we crossed, I don't want to say we cross programmed, but we collaborated. The senior center had a flea market that same day at the same time. So people were able to come and enjoy the beautiful weather. The distancing and mask wearing, everything was just great. Everybody was so wonderful, and they raised some good funds for the garden club as well as Circle of Friends. So very successful. People were very excited. So we're going to be doing a lot more of that outdoor programming. And you know, I did talk to somebody at Bill the other day, Mary Jane. She said her children's programs outside have been doing fantastic. So we are going to be starting outdoor story times as well. We're really excited about that.
There's
So
an article in today's paper, I haven't read it, but about Waterford Library.
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was great to hear Mary Jane had such great success because she was saying how she was so nervous. She, after 20 years of children's librarian, you know, being sequestered away behind Zoom and then being in front of people again, she was like, it was interesting. So it was very good. I'm glad they're successful. So, and last but not least, I just wanted to tell you, last night was our last RTM full budget meeting, and
Right, right.
we passed both the borrow it, the CIP, and our regular budget. The
Right.
CIP having to do with digital board signage in the town, different town departments via GMTV. So everything was passed. A few questions, very good ones, and they were very, you know, commenting on, you know, thanking us for being, you know, realizing that COVID has caused a lot of stress on everybody's budgets right now. But I did let them know that once we look forward to this oncoming year of everything opening back up, you know, if there's needs that the community, you know, if we see a stretch with the community that they need certain things, or there's certain demands, we will be coming back to them in the next fiscal year to ask for those things. Staff, so they were like, thank you. Yes, Barb.
I just wanted to say about May 15th.
Yes.
I knew about the Trillium garden sale and the book sale. But I didn't have any idea that the senior center was doing the tag sale, and they also had something else going on over there. So maybe like if the senior center could also publicize the library events and vice versa. And the signage there was no signage. So I got there, I ran into Conrad Heed and I saw what was going on at the senior center. And I said to Conrad, I thought the book sale was at the library, because I thought that I didn't know there was anything going on at the senior center. And he said, oh, there is. The book sale's over at the library. And the garden club is behind the library. And I said, well, what's going on at the senior center? And he said, I guess they're having a tag sale. So it was just kind of confusing because I started walking over to the senior center to find the book sale,
Sure.
thinking that that's where the activity was and not knowing that there was anything else going on. So maybe
No,
signage
absolutely.
and better integration of the marketing.
Well, funny enough that you say that, because I can't speak for the senior center. They did a great job. I think they did very well over there for what they presented. We took it upon ourselves. We asked if they could send over some, flyers or things to like put out. And I think it just got lost in translation, but we put some really nice bookmarks together and put them all at the self-checks with the senior center information on it. But to be honest, I thought it was something different than it was, but you're right. All we really did was find out they were having an event that day. So the Circle of Friends was like, let's capitalize. And then we put it in our little notation that, Senior Center was doing something as well. So we have so many things that are going to be coming down the pike. I'm hoping that they give us enough Discover 55 brochures, because there's a lot of stuff coming up anyway, during the summer. So, but, well, thank you for coming. So
Find
excited.
some good books.
Yeah, they did
another
very
question?
well. Yes.
Okay. I sensed some reluctance to use email blasts, and you may well be right, but it leads me to think that one thing that could be very useful for our town would be if the library sponsored a conference or a roundtable discussion for nonprofit organizations, including churches, asking each if they wanted to send a representative to discuss what we've learned about internal communications with our organizations during COVID and how we can share that information with one another. I think there's a lot of cross-fertilization that could come, and it would certainly boost the visibility of the library through the leadership of those organizations.
That's a good point. In fact, Ann Campbell, one of our librarians here, has found other avenues to display some of our, I don't want to say marketing, but it is true, especially in this region, there's so much, I don't want to just say information, but there's so much going on. There's got to be a better way to, connect all the dots and,
Well, if you think that communication roundtable would be worth doing, let us know next month. I'd be glad to spend some time on it with some others if you felt it was worthwhile.
Okay, we'll do.
Well, should we just put it on the agenda so that we do talk? Maybe you
Sure.
can have ideas a little more to present to us, Matthew, in terms of your thinking next month.
If you would like, certainly, I'd
Yeah.
be happy to do that.
Yeah, I think
That'd be great.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
because I think we are kind of grappling with communication and that from many of the issues, discussed today, the meeting, from patron
And
registration to, there's just a lot to try and help get us back to those people that not only that use the library, but also the new people who don't even know about the library that are coming into
Right.
town.
Right.
This is not our problem. This is something that the school board is discussing, how they can be more effective in public outreach. My synagogue is always wrestling with what the best way to communicate with its members is. And I would guess that those of you who are involved in other organizations, from the Lions to faith groups, et cetera, everybody's focusing on the same problem, and maybe we can help one another come up with some ideas. And what works for one may not work for the other, but at least we'll have had this cross-fertilization.
I think it's a good idea. Yeah, it's timely.
Yes.
Timely. Well, is there anything else? Sorry about the lawnmower. I don't know. You can always count on it, go outside. Is there anything else that any board member would like to bring up, or Jennifer, that you wanted to add to the meeting? Going once? Twice? Okay, not seeing any movement. Can I have a motion to adjourn at 5:25?
So moved.
And
Second.
Rose, second? Okay, terrific.
Who did
Thank
that? Sorry. Who
Hallie.
seconded that?
Hallie and then Rosemary.
Okay,
Thank you, Barbara, so much for the minutes.
sure.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. It's nice to see you all, really.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Nice to see you all. All right, see you next month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comes up, please let me know.
Okay.
Okay. Be well,
All right.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.